While a solid chunk of the Kirby no Omochabako series is still undumped, I think it's safe to say that this particular one is probably the most significant of the entries. This is Hoshi Kuzushi, which is modeled a little bit after the likes of Breakout and Arkanoid. While for most of the Kirby no Omochabako games, what you see on the first screen is more or less completely what you get, the good news is that Hoshi Kuzushi is different from that. And I suppose the developers knew too. They even give it an entirely different soundtrack from the rest of the series. I suppose I'll start by explaining what makes this different from Breakout and Arkanoid, and it's mostly in how the game controls. Kirby, who is playing the role of the ball here, has constant gravity. Rather than shooting off in the opposite direction like a pong ball, he'll usually start falling down if he hits an object. As such, when you launch Kirby, it's kind of like a jump, more than a, Arkanoid ball. Yeah, that's not really a good explanation. It's easier to show than it is to describe. The real neat thing you can do with the way the ball works in this game is have Kirby get on top of the star bits that he needs to crush, and then watch him chomp them down like they're Pac-Man pellets. Oh, and when the star bits are crushed, they turn into stars that fall down the screen. If you collect them, you raise that star number statistic on the bottom right of the screen, and I haven't entirely figured out everything it's used for, but as long as you have a bit of star down there, Kirby will hit the floor rather than falling through it, which will give you a bit of extra time to save him and launch him again. One other major deviancy from the Arkanoid formula is... should I call the two Ricks there a paddle? I can't really think of a better term here. Well, anyway, why are there two Ricks? That's not really something that's common in Kirby. Never mind. Let's get back to the topic I was going to mention. For the, paddle here, when Kirby hits it and is launched back up, the direction and speed he is launched towards are dictated by the direction the Ricks are moving, rather than the position of the paddle. Yeah, this is something else that makes it different from the other Kirby no Omochabako games. There's actually multiple levels. Wow. I mean, yeah, I suppose for a Breakout-style game that should be a necessity, but I would think that some of the other mini-games would have something like that as well, but they didn't. This easily makes it the best Kirby no Omochabako game. I didn't exactly count the amount of levels it has. I guess it's about 8 or so, but those levels give Hoshi Kuzushi a playtime of about half an hour. My raw recording of this footage was about 22 minutes, actually, but I'm pretty skilled at this game already. But yeah, that's longer than the other Kirby no Omochabakos. It's longer than Konai-chan or BSX shooting. It's pretty decent length for a Satellaview download. Oh, and it ends with a boss. The bit of footage of that will be at the end of the review. Anyway, as if my other Satellaview reviews, let's talk pros and cons. In regard to pros, I think Hoshi Kuzushi is an interesting spin on the Arkanoid formula, and I gotta give it props for creativity. Compared to the other Kirby no Omochabako games, and even compared to other Satellaview downloads, it feels like it has a good bit more content. Well, even if that content is just breaking more bits. But yeah! I also enjoy the soundtrack, which seems like it was specifically made for Hoshi Kuzushi compared to the other Kirby no Omochabako games, which used some tracks from Kirby's Dream Course. Now, in regard to the cons, personally for me, it took quite a while to get used to how the paddle worked in this game. Launching the ball based off direction rather than position is interesting, but it's kinda something you don't really expect people to know the first time they're playing the game. At least, not without an instruction book, which would be impossible for this game to have because it's a Satellaview download. And then you also factor in that the other Kirby and Omochabako games are very obvious in how the mechanics work. Very much what you see is what you get. And as such, you end up with the strange contradiction being that this game's main pro is also its con in a sense. Anyway, who should play this? Well, Kirby fans, obviously. People who want a bit of an Arkanoid fix might also want to try this out. It may not be exactly the same, and you might not even like how the gameplay is different, but I would say it's still worth a shot just to try it. Since I don't really have anything better to end this on, I would kinda like to comment on the state of the ROM dump of this game. Just a bit of a warning, this goes into some very nerdy MU scene talk, and, oh yeah! I do not officially condone piracy in any way. Yeah! So the footage of this game is recorded from a ROM that I managed to help get redumped back in 2010. Before that point, there was a ROM going around with that title in various scene releases, but it was a bad dump. It was a very, very bad dump. It was a completely unsalvageable, scrambled piece of data that was unusable. And unfortunately, the same went for the Guru Guru Ball ROM, which still is not redumped correctly yet. Blarr. The frustrating thing for me now is, even though I've got this ROM redumped correctly, that many of these ROM sites still host a bad ROM. Not that I can say which sites they are exactly, but if you're downloading this game and want to try it out, be sure you check with me first.